It's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is watch. Let's take a look at some of the ways that we can use this verb. The first meaning or definition for the verb watch is to look at or observe attentively over a period of time. So here, attentively means we're paying great attention. We're very focused on what we're doing with our eyes. You might notice that this week, many of our verbs are focused on actions we're doing with our eyes. So we've talked about see, look, and now watch. See, to kind of contrast this, could be just noticing something, right? It could be a quick glance. Watch, again, is implying that we are continuing to keep our eyes focused on something for a longer period of time. A second way to use the verb watch is to mean to follow closely or maintain interest in something. I know I've heard newscasters, reporters say that they are watching the developments in and then name a particular place, maybe one that's had a natural disaster or some other large event. A third way you might hear the verb watch used is to mean to exercise care, caution, or restraint about something. And this particular usage might be new for you, but I want to give you an example of how I've heard of it recently. I saw someone offered cookies, other sweets, and they said, "Oh, no, thank you. I'm watching my weight." So here they're trying to exercise care so as not to eat a lot of food that might make them gain weight. You should know that watch is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, all we're going to do is add ing to form watching. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by adding ed. And this verb, watch, ends with that ch sound. So the ed here is going to make a t sound. I hope you can hear it as I say the past tense and participle forms. Watched. Watched. Now let's take a look at some phrasal verbs that use watch. And the first one we're going to look at is watch for. And it means to look and wait for someone or something to appear. Could also mean to look and wait for something to happen. Let's look at an example sentence. The dog watches for the mailwoman every day. So if you have a pet, you might see this action repeated on a daily basis, that they are looking and waiting for, in this case, a particular person to appear. Another phrasal verb with watch is watch out. And as we look at it initially, I want you to recognize that it's most common to hear this used in the imperative, so as a command. And many times it's said with a lot of emotion, right? Because we want someone to be careful or to be cautious. Here's an example. Watch out, there's a hole. Right? So maybe you're out walking with someone, you spot it, you don't want them to step in it so that they don't fall and hurt themselves. Connected is the phrasal verb watch out for. And the meaning here is very similar. So we're being cautious, we're being careful, but now we're going to have something that we're being warned about. So let's take a look at the example I have. Watch out for deer on the road. So now we have a thing that we need to be aware of so that we can be cautious. And this is great advice in the fall, particularly in the Midwest. We have a lot of deer, and we've got to pay attention and be cautious as we drive. The last phrasal verb we're going to look at is watch over. And it means to guard or protect. Here's an example sentence. I'll watch over the kids at the park. So maybe one parent is talking to another and saying, I'm going to make sure they stay safe and healthy while we're at the park. Let's continue practicing using our verb watch in some different verb tenses. Today, we'll take a look at the simple past, the present progressive, and the simple future using will. Let's start with the simple past. We're using this verb tense to talk about an action that has been completed at a definite time in the past, right? And not in every sentence, you won't see a time signal that indicates the time when the action was completed. Sometimes that's implied as part of the conversation. In the affirmative, we're going to use our ed form of our verb. And this is true no matter what our subject is. Let's look at an example sentence. They watched the debate last week. So here we do have a definite time. We know when this action was completed. If I want to make a sentence negative, so I'm talking about something that did not happen in the past tense, I'm going to form that verb tense by using did not and then the base verb. So we don't use the ed form with negatives. You might hear native speakers use contractions like didn't with this. So here's our example sentence. I didn't watch any television shows yesterday. Again, we've got that time signal to tell us when this action did not occur. Finally, if I want to make a yes or no question in the simple past tense, I'm going to start with did, then I'll have my subject, and then the base verb. Here's an example. Did you watch the game last night? Next, let's look at the present progressive. To make this verb tense, we're going to use a present form of be, so that's am, is, or are, and then we'll use the ing form of the verb. And remember, we're using this verb tense to talk about something that is happening right now or something that's in progress. Here's an example. He's watching the children while she's at work. Right? So we have this ongoing action. And to make a negative sentence in the present progressive, we need to insert not after our be verb. So this will take the form of am not watching, is not watching, are not watching. And you might hear the contractions isn't or aren't, but we will not have a contraction with am. Here's an example sentence. Millennials aren't watching network television. So here we're talking about a particular age range of people that generally are not watching what ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, those are generally considered our main networks here, right? So they are watching streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, etc. If I want to make a yes or no question, I'm going to start with my be verb, then I'll have my subject, then the ing form of the verb. Here's an example of this. Are investors watching the stock market? Right? So a lot of our examples have centered around television, movies, games, but there are many things that we can watch or observe. Now let's take a look at simple future. Today we're going to make sentences using will and our base verb. And that's common to hear when people make offers and promises indicating future activity. So let's take a look at an example sentence. Researchers will watch how the children react to different types of parenting. So I saw this sentence describing a new scientific study that is underway. And so here we're describing what has been proposed. And so this is like an offer in many ways, what's going to occur in a particular research study. If I want to make a negative sentence in the simple future, I'm going to insert not after will. And you might hear native speakers use the contraction form won't. Here's an example. They won't watch the movie before they finish the book. So maybe this is made as a promise. I promise I won't watch the movie before we finish reading the book. Finally, if you want to make a yes or no question in the simple future, we can start with will, then we'll have our subject, and then the base verb. Here's an example of that. Will you watch any scary movies on Halloween? Now, let's take a look at some words that are related to our verb watch. And we're going to start with the noun form of the same word, same spelling, same pronunciation. And just like our verb, it can have a few different meanings. So, the first way you might hear the noun watch used is to mean a small timepiece worn typically on a strap on one's wrist. So I've included a picture here in hopes that that sparks an idea. So this might be something you're already familiar with. And an example of this particular noun usage would be, did you get a new watch? Did you buy a new watch? Right? Here, get in my example sentence is the verb. We can tell that watch is a noun because we have an adjective right before it. And we also have the article a. A second meaning for watch is the act of carefully observing someone or something over a period of time. Here is an example of this usage. Parents are keeping a close watch on their children's e-learning. This might be true if you have children at home that are participating in classes remotely, so they're not physically going to their schools. The next related word we're going to look at is the adjective watchable. And if you're using this adjective, you're using it to describe movies or television that is enjoyable to you to watch. So here's an example of this. The intriguing documentary was very watchable. So here, someone is describing something they enjoyed watching. Of course, we have the opposite of that. We can tell it's an opposite. We have the prefix un to form unwatchable. This is also an adjective, and again, it's usually used to describe movies, TV shows, etc. And its meaning here is that it is too poor, so the quality is bad. It's way too boring to be watched. So you might hear someone say, oh, that movie was unwatchable. So again, they found it boring. They weren't interested in it. They just thought the acting was bad, the story was bad. Maybe they even turned it off. It was so bad. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, right? You've continued to keep your eyes focused on it, I hope, until this very end. I hope you have a great day.